I found an old video recorder and been able to go through some of my old videos recently and found some old clips that I think people that follow Jane and me on these programmes might find interesting. This is one I did with Diane Abbott. Now, Diane Abbott, as British people will know, is the shadow Home Secretary for the Labour Party. So she's kind of almost second in command. I mean, Theresa May was the Home Secretary, I believe, before she became Prime Minister. So if Labour got into power, Diane Abbott could be our next Prime Minister, and a black Prime Minister at that. I actually think that's quite unlikely because she's a bit of a maverick, but a very nice person, I have to say. The reason I say that is because it's so good to see a politician actually be prepared to take part in something psychic. It's always so easy just to poo-poo it all and say, oh, it's all a load of rubbish. And of course you can be the cool, sceptical one. But few people have the courage to investigate these things. And I'm glad to say that this programme that was made right back in the year 2000, I believe, on a programme called Mystic Challenge. So this is way before she... I hope this doesn't come back to haunt her. But then there we go. You know, I think it's a good thing that she's taken part in this. I don't think it's brilliant stuff, to be honest. It was a TV challenge in which psychics were pitted against one another in order to see who could tell the most about the person that they were asked about. And I didn't know who I was going to be seeing. I didn't know it was Diane Abbott because they were, as the programme describes, heavily disguised. In other words, they were put under a tent, really, a piece of tarpaulin. You couldn't see anything about them at all. They were just in the room. And I was pitched as a psychometrist because I was using psychometry, and that's a technique where you hold an object that's owned by the person and you can pick up information about that person just by holding the object. I mean, I've done it before with archaeologists, and I've done it before with police, and you can build profiles of people by holding objects that they've owned. I can't remember even what the object was. So this is from the programme Mystic Challenge. I look very different then, but it's an interesting piece.
So now it's safe to say hello to Britain's first black female MP, Diane Abbott. Diane, come on through. Lovely to see you, Diane. Take a seat there. Now, you've had a fascinating career, done all kinds of things, and we've only got 3 or 4 minutes to get as many details as we can. So let's start with your childhood. What was that like? Were you happy? Did you have brothers and sisters? Where did you grow up?
I've got one brother. I was born in Paddington, but I was brought up in Harrow in West London. And it was a happy childhood, yeah.
And where did you go to school? Was it local school or did you travel away?
I went to local schools in Harrow. I went to Harrow County Grammar School for Girls.
And after that, did you go on to university?
After that, I went on to Cambridge University, and then I came down and I worked in London, mostly in civil service, media, those sorts of jobs.
Because I remember you working as either researcher, reporter, whatever, for current affairs and stuff in London.
Yes, I worked as a researcher on Thames Television, kind of news and current affairs. Then I went to work for TVAM.
And were you always interested in politics, Diane?
Always, always, from a very young age.
Well,
when
even
I was
at school
student. Probably, well, certainly from when I was a student, I was fascinated by politics. And I was a councillor, went on Westminster Council in '82 and was elected in '87.
Now, what is it like in the House of Commons? There are more women around now, but we read in the papers that it's more difficult for them. Do you still feel it's a struggle?
Well, it's still a very male atmosphere. It's a lot better than when I started, but it's still a very male atmosphere. A lot of shouting and very adversarial, which people from abroad are often shocked by, to see all these British men shouting at each other, but they do.
And 1 or 2 British women shouting at each other as well.
And 1 or 2 British women shouting as well, yeah.
And of course, you're on the Foreign Affairs Select Committee.
I'm on the Foreign Affairs. I travel. I was in China a few weeks ago. I was in Kosovo earlier in the year. And, you know, I represent Hackney, and that keeps me very busy as well.
Now, you've got a son, James.
I've got an 8-year-old son, James.
Are you in a relationship at the moment? It's a cheeky question to ask.
No, I'm not in a relationship. I'm divorced.
Now, when you're working in the House of Commons, obviously you're representing your constituents, you're also looking on a national and then a global scale. What would you say are the subjects closest to your heart?
Well, I'm interested in anything, you know, to fight poverty, to help poor people in society. I'm interested in women's issues. I'm interested in the third world and development and aid, those sorts of issues.
Now, after working for a while and then entering Parliament at such a young age, really what, you were early 30s?
Yeah.
Do you feel that that early ambition and that drive has been fulfilled? Are you happy in Parliament, or do you now think you can see something else you'd like to go on to do?
Well, I always wanted to do three things. I wanted to have a family, I wanted to be a Member of Parliament, and I wanted to write a best-selling novel. And so I've done 2 out of 3. The third is yet to come.
Are you working on the book at the moment?
No, I'm not working on the book.
So you can't give us a sneaky preview of what the plot might be?
No, I can't.
Is it going to be historical or current or...?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. It could be historical.
Should any MPs be worried that they might turn up in the book under slightly assumed names?
Possibly.
Oh, dear. Well, for the moment, let this question be the better part of ballot. Diane Abbott, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If you can whisk you back behind the screen, Diane. Because with Diane safely tucked away, it's time for our Mystic Masters to take up that challenge. Let's see who will get most of Diane's life story right. First up is astrologer John Frawley. Now, earlier today, John received the date, place and time of birth of our mystery guest, but he's neither met nor spoken to the guest. Please welcome John Frawley. John, you're very welcome. Take a seat there. Now we're going to give you 90... And next we're joined by John's opponent, psychometrist Craig Hamilton Parker. Now, earlier, Craig spent just 20 minutes with our mystery guest who was in heavy disguise. He has not spoken to our guest. Please welcome Craig Hamilton Parker. Craig, hello, mate. Grab a seat for us. Now, like John, we're going to give you 90 seconds to build up a bit of a profile of our mystery guest. What areas do you want to aim for?
Well, I'm going to go for childhood, career and relationships.
Childhood, career and relationships. Good luck, Craig. Your 90 seconds starts now.
Okie doke. For childhood, during her childhood, she had real hardships. She came from abroad and there was political trouble in the country during this time. She has one brother who is a bit of a rebel. There was a separation from her father during their childhood, which upset her a great deal. I see the sea and docks connected to the family. She is a very kind person who has enormous tenacity. She likes to nurture and worries about others more than herself. I feel she has had a life of service and has tremendous energy to persevere. A self-made person who succeeds through hard work and not luck. She is a great communicator and also has a great talent for writing. Her work takes her abroad a lot and she's fascinated with foreign countries. But I sense that she is whisked through places and never has a chance to absorb things. She would love to travel for pleasure and without the pressure she currently has to face. I feel somewhere in her career she met Princess Diana. Money isn't important to her, but she's okay financially. She may be facing a change in her career at the moment which has been forced upon her. Her family is the most important thing in her life. She's extremely loyal. She has one child who will do well in life and may have a gift for singing. This lady also likes to sing for pleasure. She loves music and art and things like that. She loves good food and is a good cook, and I see her putting a lot of fruit into food. Either this lady or someone around her has problems with their ear at the moment. She may have recently suffered stomach problems herself. Her father died a long time ago of a chest condition, I feel. He was a real character and had a great sense of humour.
And we need to leave it there, I'm afraid, Craig. He crammed an awful lot into his 90 seconds. That's Craig, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, I hate cutting them off in their prime, but the moment of truth has arrived and it's time to find out how right our mystics were about their mystery guest. Please welcome one of Britain's most outspoken and high-profile MPs, Miss Diane Abbott. With John and Craig. Now, a couple of things they both picked up on. They talked about communication, the importance of that to you, and the fact that you're a self-made person. But there was a big disagreement because John said that you're very money-oriented and Craig said you weren't at all. Which is it, would you say?
I'm not money-orientated at all, actually, although in recent years I've begun to wish I was. But if you spoke to my bank manager and saw the size of my overdraft, you'd know I'm just not money-orientated.
OK, well, let's start with other things John said, and this was, I thought, uncanny. Something you do that is more normally associated with men, and sadly the House of Commons is normally associated with geezers.
I was taken aback with that because I'm a big sceptic, I have to tell you. But yeah, I mean, particularly when I went in '87, out of 650 members of Parliament, about 40 women in a very, very male place. Very male. He
said you're clever, very good at details, vitally important for an MP. Also, you want to expose wrongdoing and improve the world. Now, he talks about violence and aggression. You talked about the shouting in the House of Commons.
Yeah, the House of Commons is a very adversarial place. I mean, it is. It's adversarial in the chamber, but politics as well is adversarial. And politics has been my business for over 20 years.
And also, of course, presumably if you go to places like Kosovo, you're on the scenes where violence, terrible violence has occurred.
Yeah.
OK. Also, though, as well as the money, at the moment you don't feel the need for somebody else in your life, he was saying.
I suppose not desperately, otherwise I would be with somebody.
Right, OK, let's move on to Craig then. Now, was there hardship in the early years for you, financial hardship as a family?
Well, we didn't feel like we were undergoing hardship, but obviously my parents came here from Jamaica in the 50s and it wasn't easy for them. It wasn't easy for them at all.
Because, of course, you were born here, as you told us, in North
Yeah.
London, but was there any kind of political upheaval in Jamaica at the time that Craig sensed some kind of political reason for the exodus?
Well, there wasn't. Well, it was unstable. There was a lot of poverty. I mean, that's why they emigrated, as everybody does.
And one brother?
One brother,
Craig
yeah.
picked up on. And also you mentioned one child.
One child.
Which is
One
also
child,
true.
James, who's 8. Yeah.
Was there a separation from your dad in the kind of late childhood, early teens?
Well, not. I mean, I didn't leave home until I was about 17. There might have been. My parents divorced in my early teens. I stayed with my dad, and my mother left home. So it might be that he picked up on.
And how about the sea and docks featuring?
Well, I can only say, I mean, I'm an East End MP, and the docks are associated with the East End. And of course, my parents came here across the sea from the Caribbean.
Now, again, he picked up on writing, communicating, which is your career before Parliament, of course. Did you ever meet Princess Di?
Oh, yeah, I've met her on a number of occasions.
And when you cook, do you stick a bit of Caribbean fruit in it?
Oh, yeah.
Right,
And
so
I
that
love
was a
to
very
cook.
specific one to pick up
It
on.
wasn't bad at all.
Some
yeah.
good stuff from both of them there. It's going to be tough. Thank you, John and Craig. And it's over to Richard and the jury for a verdict, please, sir.
Well, sir, there's a gentle glow about us. We're sweating just a little bit. John, you picked up on the career associated with men, of course. Self-made, self-contained woman. Well, she sits before us, but it's going to go for Craig. I'm afraid we've got the one brother, the one child, the talent for writing, and, of course, the travel.
Even though John picked up on that working in what used to be a mail preserve?
That's right, which did freak me out a bit. Definitely, yeah.
So it's commiserations to
I'm
John, but
afraid
well
so.
done, Craig, ladies and gentlemen. That was a tough one to call, though, Diane, wasn't it, didn't you think? And have you enjoyed your time with us? You're a bit of a sceptic. Have you changed your mind?
Well, I am a sceptic about these things, but it was uncanny how much they got right. It really was.
And you're off now to what? To do a bit of shouting in the House of Commons and rustle up the dish with some fruit in it.
Definitely.
Thank you, the wonderful Diane Abbott, ladies and gentlemen.
Jane and I now do our spiritual work for our foundation. All the profits that come from things like our conferences and theatres and workshops and all those exciting things now go into this foundation, which ultimately has the long-term plan of building centres in the UK and maybe around the world one day. But meanwhile, we've been doing a lot of direct spiritual work with it. We've been going out, feeding people in India, giving to the destitute, giving to beggars. We've helped feed schools, helped orphanages, and we've even given cows to older people that have no other form of income. So mediumship can change your life, but it can also help people directly in the world. So go to the links at the end and find out all about what Jane and I are trying to do. And you can do a lot just by sharing these videos on social media. Help us get the word out. Help us to do something really good in this world. Click on this picture of me to subscribe to our channel and see all of our latest videos as soon as they're published. Or click on this next video for more of our stuff.